I'm going to try taking the engine out of this 70s era Bombardier Ski-Doo gradually, piece by piece, just to see how it works. See if I can hook up an electric motor to this flywheel. But for starters, we'll take the pieces apart. So I have the carburetor off. The engine is just held on by 4 bolts here. I'm going to see if I can remove it without too much difficulty. See if I can get it running separately, but also seeing if I can power this thing with some other kind of motor that we'll find later. So now we've successfully removed the single cylinder original Rotax motor. And now we can find a replacement electric motor that'll hopefully fit in the same spot. Question now is what to do with this flywheel, whether or not to attach to this belt in the same way the engine was before, or else maybe remove this somehow and directly connect to the gear system that drives the drive belt. Now the other question, once we have the motor figured out, is how to power this thing. And what I was thinking is this Tesla Model S battery module that I have just happens to be the exact right size and dimensions of the seat. It's almost the right thickness as well. So if one can build this into the seat somehow, it would disappear entirely. You wouldn't even notice it. So now that the motor's out of the snowmobile, the question becomes, what do I replace it with? So I decided to jump on Amazon and see what was available for e-bike conversion kits, anything that can, there seems to be a good variety of motors and kits available to convert bikes and scooters and that kind of thing. So something like this should be a good drop-in solution with hopefully only a little bit of modification. So the question in my mind now is, how much power do I need? There's options here from 450 watts, 300 watt option, $150, all the way up to 3,000 watts. And given that there's only really a moderate price difference between the 3,000 watt and the 450 watt, about $100 difference, one could make the argument to go for the 3,000 watt model. The other consideration is that my Tesla battery pack is 24 volts, which would be nice to try and use with the system. But I can also get an additional battery pack, a 48 volt battery pack, which meets the minimum rated power for this motor. We can try a few combinations when we get this, see how it works. And the beauty of Amazon is that you can always return stuff. So I'm gonna, I think, err on the side of caution here, get the large 300 watt motor. I don't know how much power I need to move this big heavy old sled. So we'll get the larger one, maybe this additional battery pack just in case. This is gonna be, I think, a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery pack, which would max out at around 2,000 watts. So that should give us plenty of power. We'll see how this works. We'll order it and try and hook it up. All right, so we have the first box of parts that came in the mail. We'll do a bit of unboxing here. This is the lithium-ion battery. And we opted to go with a 48 volt one, primarily for price. It was half the price of the 72 volt battery, and also for versatility, thinking this will allow me to pair it with a variety of motors if this one doesn't do the trick going forward. Seems to be a nice balance. So we have the battery here, power cable, and charger. So let's plug this thing in and see if we can top it up. Waiting for the motor to come in the mail next. So got the battery all hooked up and charging. Getting a little bit of noise out of this charger, so hopefully it doesn't conk out on me or catch fire. I thought this was interesting. The charger connector is actually a 3-pin XLR cable. These connectors are typically used for low impedance audio connections like microphones. So here it's being used as a charger, which I haven't seen before, but at any rate, seems to be working. So we'll continue with it, see if we can charge it up, and then we'll do a load test. All right, our motor and controller has arrived. Time to unpack this sucker and give it a shot. All right, here's what we get in the box. We've got the controller, wire harness, the motor itself, a little bit smaller than I was envisioning, but 3,000 watts apparently. We have the throttle handle here. This just fits on top of the existing handlebars. We've got a chain, and we got a ignition key, which is kind of interesting. Wasn't expecting that. And a manual. Documentation's a little light, so hopefully we can try and get this all hooked up, and we'll see if it works. Okay, I now have everything hooked up correctly, I think. Not much for documentation. There's just this picture of the connections. No real diagram or schematic. Some brief labeling on the connectors, and some of them are keyed and some of them aren't. I'm pretty sure this is right. One way to find out is I'll have to power it up. Okay, so I charged the battery up full last night. Let's just see what we're reading here. We are at 54 volts open circuit. Don't know if that's what's to be expected, but seems full anyway. So we're going to try and connect power for the first time, and hopefully nothing starts on fire. Here we go. Nervous. Okay. Not quite sure why it sparked like that, but I'm going to try it one more time. Okay. And hopefully don't blow this thing up. Oof, I'm nervous again. Okay, there we go. Oh boy. Okay. Just a little arc there. Let's try turning it on. Okay, now what happens? Holy cow. Actually works. That's low power. That's one direction. See if reverse works. And it goes the other way. All right. Cool. Forwards. Let's try center speed. Top speed. Cool. Okay, here's the first crude motor test. We have the electric motor with just a belt, a pulley on the end, connected directly to the secondary clutch, and we'll see if it's enough to turn the belt. Just have the battery and the motor controller connected loosely in the back, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that kind of worked. Second test, we'll see if it has enough power to push the sled forward a little bit while the skis are on wheels. So now the tread is on the ground. So let's just take this nice and slow. Let's see if we can creep up forward. Moving. Oh. All right. So far, so good. Motor test number 3. Let's try this again with the skis on the ground. I really don't think this will work. Seems like there's just too much friction, but let's see what happens. Whoa! Yeah, it actually moves. And not enough tension on the belt. But we moved it a little bit. So during the last test, we needed a bit more tension on the belt here. So I just screwed down a caster wheel here to push up on the belt to tension it a little bit around the pulley. So we're going to try this one more time and see if it gives us a bit more power. Okay, we're going to repeat the same test from last time. Now everything's on the ground. We're going to see if we have enough power to drag this thing across the concrete. All right, so let's give this a shot. All right, cool. Now it's time for the ultimate test. This is something I've been wanting to do since the start of this project, is actually ride this thing. So I'm sitting on the seat now and we're still on the ground. Let's see if this thing can move me and the sled across the garage floor. Here we go. Oh, we're moving. All right.